loving greetings to all the dear ones who are listening to us on the study of heaven. We have been studying on the topic of heaven during the last session. I am going to continue the same topic. Many questions comes to our mind in relation to heaven. What we studied earlier is, will we go immediately after death into heaven? We clearly saw that the moment we are absent from body, the next moment we'll be with the Lord, who is at the right hand of Father in heaven. So we will reach heaven, and our loved ones are there waiting for us. We will join in another world, that is heaven, with our beloved ones who are there waiting for us. Another question comes, will we know our loved ones there? Of course, our personality is not only for this world. I am what I am because my personality will continue even in eternity. I will be the same person. You know, when I was studying and thinking about this topic, a thought came to my mind. After this death, after this life is over, we have a judgment in the coming world. We read in Hebrews 9:27, it is appointed by God once to die and then judgment. If your personality doesn't continue, if what you have done in the earlier times when you are living in this world, why should you give account for that in the coming world? Your personality continues. You will be you even in the coming world. That is the reason what you have done in this life, you are accountable even in the coming life. In other words, in eternity. Will my mother be my mother in heaven? I want to ask a question. Is heaven plus or minus? Heaven is always plus. My mother, I will be able to recognize. What we read in 1 Corinthians 13:8, love never fails. Love never fails. It is eternal, it is of God, and it will stand. When you come to 2 Samuel chapter 12, you have an incident in relation to David. He is speaking about his son who was born in Bathsheba. This child is dead. We will read one or two verses from there. I am going to read to you 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 22 and 23. And he said, while the child was alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, who can tell whether the Lord will be gracious to me, that the child may live? But now he is dead. Why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. Have you noted that? David fasted and prayed before God that this child will live before him. But now he is dead. Now David stopped fasting. He changed his clothes. He started to eat the food and he worshipped God also. A question came, what change is this? And David is asking, or replying back. Now my boy is dead. He is dead. Why should I fast? I fasted so that he will live. He is no more living. He is dead. Can I bring him back again? Answer is no. Shall I go to him? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. Have you noted that? David's child is dead. He fasted and prayed that this child will live. But this child is now, dead. And David says, he was praying that he will live, but he is dead. Can I bring him back? No. I shall go to him and he not to me. In other words, when David dies, he will go to his child who is dead before him and he will see his child there. That means he can recognize him. I will take a passage from Genesis chapter 37. It is the same thought with Um, this is Genesis 37. Genesis 37. There you find an incident in the life of Jacob. You know, news came to him that his son Joseph is dead. Chapter 37 of Genesis and verses 35. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him. But he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I shall go down into the grave to my son in mourning. Thus his father wept for him." What he says is, "For I shall go down into the Sheol to my son." He says he will go to that place. He will recognize his son Joseph. Let me remind you, heaven is a place of reunion. The family of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob together. I am not the God of death, but I am the God of living. Sadhu says, they said there is no resurrection. Let me remind you, we will recognize one another. One of the most beautiful passage in relation to this to meditate is, you find it in Matthew chapter 17. Matthew chapter 17. We know about that incident. You know, the Lord has taken 3 disciples to a great mountain. He was transfigured there. Peter, James and John was with him on that mountain. This is the incident that happened in chapter 17 of Matthew. I don't want to read all those passages. 1 to 8 very clearly teaches that. Now, verses 3. Behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to him, talking with him on the Mount of Transfiguration. Moses and Elijah appeared, with the Lord. And they were talking with the Lord. Then Peter answered and said to Jesus, "Lord, is it good for us to be here? It is good for us to be here. If you wish, let us make here 3 tabernacles. One for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." Of course, they know Jesus very well. But who introduced Moses and Elijah? Nobody has introduced. But on the Mount of Transfiguration, Moses, who was dead 1,500 years before this incident, Peter, John and James, they recognized this is Moses. Nobody has introduced them. Nobody has, all these 3 disciples, they have never seen them. They have never seen a photograph also. There is no photograph at that time. But they recognize Moses, who was died 1,500 years back. Not only that, they recognized Elijah. He was taken to heaven 900 years back. Nobody introduced that this is Elijah, but they recognized. What I want to tell you is, they have not seen them in the flesh, but when they appeared in the Mount of Transfiguration, they have recognized these people. It is a miniature of heaven. Let me remind you, we are going to see the people. We are going to see our forefathers whom we haven't seen. There is no need of introduction, but we will recognize them. Even in hell, even in Sheol, the rich man recognized Abraham, who has died many, many, many thousand years before him. Yes, brothers, we are going to see. We are going to recognize. We will recognize our loved ones. In the book of Thessalonians, when Paul writes to the Thessalonians, the same truth we can pick out from that passage. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2. Paul is writing to them, 19 and 20. "For what is our hope or joy or crown of rejoicing? Is not even you in the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ at his coming? For you are our glory and joy." For what is our hope or joy or crown of rejoicing. Is it not even you in the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ at his coming? In other words, when the Lord is coming back, there is a background here. Paul was a mother and a father to them. Look at chapter 2 and verses 17. But we, brothers, having been taken away from you for a short time, in the presence, not in heart, endured more eagerly to see you face to face. Therefore, we wanted to come to you, even I, Paul, time and again, but Satan hindered us. Paul wanted to come and see these brothers in Thessalonica, but Satan hindered. Satan hindered. He took care of this, these believers in Thessalonica. What we read in verses 7, we were gentle among you just as nursing mother cherishes her as children. Verses 11, as you know how we exhorted and comforted and charged every one of you, as father does his children, his own children. He was a mother and he was a father. He was so tender to take care of them as a mother. He was as a father exhorting and comforting and training them. He loved them so much because they are his fruit of labor. He wanted to come and meet them, but Satan was always trying to hinder. For them he is writing. What is he writing? Now I cannot come to you, but one day the Lord is coming. When the Lord is going to come in his presence, you will be my crown of rejoicing. When I see you, you will be my joy, my crown of rejoicing. In other words, Paul will recognize the Thessalonian believers. If he cannot recognize the Thessalonian believers, how can they be his joy and his rejoicing? It again teaches us we will recognize others. We will recognize. Brothers and sisters, take very seriously the people whom you lead to the Lord. You will recognize them. They are going to be your joy and your joy and we read here, rejoicing in the presence of the Lord. As I recognize my mother, as I am going to recognize my father, as I am going to recognize my brother who has passed away before me, my grandfathers, I haven't seen them, but I will recognize them. My father's father and all, I haven't seen. My grandfather and his father, they were believers. So I am sure they will be in heaven. There is no need of introducing them. If on the Mount of Transfiguration, Moses who died 1500 years ago, and Elijah who was, taken up to heaven 900 years ago, Peter, John and James was able to recognize. Thessalonian believers, Paul wanted to come to them, but Satan hindered. He says, at the coming of the Lord, you are going to be my joy and my rejoicing at his presence. We will recognize them. We will know each other in heaven. Otherwise, these verses doesn't have any meaning. Another great thing, that we are going to recognize one another in heaven. I will read that passage to you from Luke's Gospel. This is also, spoken by our blessed Lord. When you come to Luke's Gospel, chapter 10. Luke's Gospel, chapter 10 and verses 20. The 70 disciples returned back with joy. The joy was that demons are subject to them. They were able to do many miracles. As they came back rejoicing to the Lord told them, nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Not because the spirits are going to be, spirits are, subject to you under your authority. No. Not because of that you have to rejoice. But you have to rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Names are written in heaven. What does it mean? that my names are written in heaven. We read about another group of people or some sisters. We read it in Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4. When you come to Philippians chapter 4, and when you read verses 3, Paul is writing about, some woman. And I urge you also, true companion, help this woman who labored with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and the rest of my fellow workers whose names are in the book of life. Their names are in the book of life. And the Lord told, rejoice because your names are written in heaven. We read in Revelation chapter 20, 15, 21 and verses 27. But anyone's not found written in the book of life will be cast into the lake of fire. I will not be cast into the lake of fire because my names are in the book of Lamb or book of life. I will be in heaven because my names are written in heaven. We read in John's Gospel chapter 10 verses 3. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. He calls his sheep by name. Let me tell you, dear ones, your name stands for your personality. When your name is called, it is not another person that comes under that name. You yourself represent your name. What does it mean that your name is written in heaven? You will be there. When God calls John P. Thomas, or when you call my pet name Raju, I will stand there before him as myself. Because my name stands for me. My personality. It's not another person to stand there. And that is a meaning that my identity will be there. That is a reason my name is written in heaven. Wonder. Beautiful. Yes, heaven is a home we have seen. In my Father's house. We know the names of each person in my home. It is likewise, he knows the name of his every sheep and he calls them by name. Is it not a wonder? The Lord knows my name and I will be identified by this name in heaven. Yes, brothers and sisters, we will not be fools in heaven. Our memories will be purged and cleansed of sinful thoughts. But I will be there. Without spot or wrinkle, my personality will stand. Yes, many things is there to speak about it, but I stop there. Only what I want to tell you. You will be you. You will be you. You will be you standing there. When the name is called, you will be there and you will be identified. We will recognize one another. If it is so, one kind of relation we have as husband and wife, even though we recognize one another. At the time of marriage, we have taken an oath till death do depart us or till Christ comes back. That relationship is only till death take places. You are annulled from that covenant once one person is died. Or if the Lord comes before that. When you come to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, there are list of things told by Paul that will be removed or pass away. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Verses 29 to 31. 29 to 31. You find 5 kind of things mentioned here. But this I say, brethren, the time is short, so that from now on even those who have wives should be as though they have none. Those who weep as though they do not weep. Those who rejoice as though they do not rejoice. Those who buy as though they do not possess. And those who use this world as not misusing it, for the form of this world is passing away. form of this world, schema, the Greek word is schema. The form of the world is actually schema. What does it mean? The manner of life, the way of doing things. The form of this world is the manner of life or the way we are doing. In that, one thing is mentioned first. The first thing is, those who have wife should be as though they have none. In other words, the husband and wife relation. Husband and wife relation. It is a schema. It is a form of life, manner of life, which will pass away. In heaven, it will not be there. We are going to be like angels. We will not give in marriage or take in marriage. There is no increase of angels. Their number will not increase by, giving birth. They are not female or male. They are neutral gender. We are going to be neutral gender at that time. Marriage covenant, what we have taken is, till death do part us. Not only that, when I was meditating, something more came to my mind. The desire of a woman to her husband is actually a curse. Your desire shall be towards your husband. Genesis 3:16. I used to tell it is a curse, but it is a blessing. If the woman, every woman in the world, they have a desire to their husband, that is saved, that should be there for the safety of the families. If it was not there, can you imagine what kind of world this would have been? When the curse is going to be removed, we have meditated earlier, there is no more curse. The curse will be removed. So this also will be removed. The curse will be removed. So today I have a special love to my wife. It can be pure, it can be impure, desire. Whatever it is, it will be passed away. The most intimate love you have in this world is to your wife. But in heaven, I can love everyone just like my family members. I can love my neighbors as myself. Because I will have a new nature. The natural will put on the spiritual. Yes. My names are written there. I will recognize. I will understand each other. But only problem is, my relation like husband and wife and all, it will not be there. One of the most beautiful study in the Bible in relation to how heaven is. Look and study about Jesus Christ. After his resurrection, he was on this earth for 40 days. On the 40th day, he ascended to heaven. They waited for the Holy Spirit another 10 days. Then came the day of Pentecost. So between his resurrection and the pouring of the Holy Spirit, it was 50 days. It is exactly the same thing you read in Leviticus 23 also. Between the first fruit and the day of Pentecost, there is 50 days. But I want to tell you something. He was here on this earth for 40 days between his resurrection and ascension. If you study about that 40 days, it is actually heaven on earth. You can find more things in relation to heavenly realms when we study about Christ's resurrected life on this earth for 40 days. Yes. Jesus, after his resurrection. When you take John's Gospel chapter 1 to 19, you find John's Gospel chapter 1 to 19, his Lord's words and deeds recorded when he was on this earth. What Jesus has spoken and Jesus has done. Up to 19 chapters. But you look at chapter 20 onwards. It is after his resurrection, 20 and 21. It is the same Jesus continuing. It is the same body that he was having up to chapter 19. He showed his hands. He showed his hands and his side and asked them, look at my hand and look at my side. What he is saying, it is the same Jesus. Yes? Luke, Gospel, he makes the same statement. When you come to Luke's Gospel, chapter 24, he is writing about the resurrected Lord. Chapter 24 and verses 39, you read here, behold my hands and my feet, that is, it is I myself, it is Jesus. It is I myself. Handle me and see, for the spirit does not have flesh and bones as you see I have. Christ says, it is I myself. It is a continuity. It is I myself. When I was meditating on this topic, something struck my mind again. You know, he came to Mary in John's Gospel, chapter 20. She was in the garden. She didn't recognize that it is the Lord who is speaking to her. Chapter 20, verses 10 to 18. Mary Magdalene sees the risen Lord. Yes. When you come to verse 16, Jesus said to her, Mary. She returned and said to him, Rabboni. She was speaking to him. She was asking, she supposing him to be the gardener, said to him, Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away. She is speaking to himself. If you have taken the body of Jesus, tell me. She never knew that he has resurrected. Then Jesus called her. She thought he is a gardener. She called her Mary. She recognized him. She replied back, Rabboni, which is called teacher. What I want to tell you, it is the same name he was calling her, Mary. She was Mary when he was on this earth. After his resurrection also, she was Mary. It is continuing. It didn't change. Same thing happened with Thomas also. You read it in chapter 20, verses 24 and 29. When you come to verses 27, then he said to Thomas, reach your fingers here and look at my hand, and reach your hand here and put it into my side. Do not be unbelieving but believing. And Thomas answered and said to him, my Lord and my God. My Lord and my God. The personal my is a reflection of assurance of the same Lord who was before his resurrection. It is the same Lord, my Lord and my God. No change. He was confident it is the same God, same Lord. He knew that he was standing before the Lord. Same with Peter also. Chapter 21 and verses 7. 21 and verses 7. He appeared to Peter when he went for, fishing. Therefore, that disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, it is the Lord. John recognized and told Peter, it is the Lord. What I want to tell you is, preserving the personal identity, it is going on. Preserving the personal identity. Your life is very precious, dear ones, in this world. I just wanted to take something from the scientific world. The scientists say that fleshes, there are many kinds of flesh. It is the same thing you find in 1 Corinthians 15 also. 35, there was a question, how are the dead raised? What kind of body they are raised? Paul says, from the biological world, all flesh are not same. He is indicating amazing variety of earthly bodies made by God. Look at the flesh of the animals itself. They are all different. Mutton or goat meat is different from, ox's meat. It is different from chicken's meat. It is different from kangaroo's meat. It is different from other animals' meat. All animals have different taste of fleshes because it is different kind of fleshes. When I was in Australia, I tasted kangaroo's meat. If you go to Middle East, you can taste camel's meat. In India, we get meat of buffaloes, meat of chickens, goats, etc. They all have different taste. What does it make this difference? The scientists say amino acids are the building blocks of all life. Amino acids. Each type of animals or plants have each kind of amino acid blocks. For example, chicken. You buy chicken in India and eat. It is the same flavor you eat chicken in Australia. You eat chicken in America. All chickens around the globe taste the same way because it all has amino acid building blocks in the same way. Yes. So, manifold work of God. Our environment may change. We may put on weight, we may become lean, but basically we will not change because the amino acid blocks are same in us. Biological, what I want to say is, the biological codes are binding and unique for every person. The interesting thing is, each group of animals or plants, they have a special kind of amino acid blocks. But each animal or plant has different kind of animal. There will be change in itself. Death cannot take out my personality. The self in which we are entered by the Creator is a gift of God to me. The self will enter into eternity. Myself cannot be substituted by another. God has given it to me as a gift. I need to take care of my personality. You will be you in eternity also. That is a reason in my resurrection. I want to read a passage written by Job in Job chapter 19. Look at that. He knew even at that time, how many years back, this old patriarch is telling that when he is going to be resurrected, he is not going to be another person. Look at chapter 19 of Job, verses 25 to 27. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand at last on the earth. And after my skin is destroyed, this I know, that in my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see for myself, and my eye shall behold and not another. Wonderful truth is revealed here. In a way, once I die, my skin is destroyed. My skin is destroyed. But after that, what happens? In my flesh, in my own flesh, with my own eyes, I will behold him, not another. I will see him. When I am going to be resurrected, I will be resurrected. My own eyes, I am going to see him. Yes. Isaiah the prophet also told this. In Isaiah chapter 33, you find 33 and verses 17. Isaiah 33 and verses 17. Your eyes will see the king in his beauty. They will see the land that is very far. Your eyes will see the king in his beauty. Many times, I must have mentioned Psalm 17. Psalm 17. A very familiar passage. A very beautiful passage. It has given me much comfort in my heart. Look at verses 14 of Psalm 17. Then we will read verse 15. With your hand from men of the Lord, he is asking to deliver him from the men of the world. For men of the world who have their portion in this life. and whose belly you will fill with your hidden treasures. They are satisfied with children and leave the rest of their possession for their babies. Men of the world who have their portion in this life. In verses 15, as for me, I will see your face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I am awakened in your likeness. He is speaking about resurrection. He is going to be awakened from the dust. When I am going to be awakened in your likeness, when the Lord comes, when we will see Him, we will be like Him. At that time, I shall be satisfied when I see your face in righteousness. Wonder. Brothers and sisters, we are going to see the Lord with our own eyes. My personality will never change. It is only purified. My spot and wrinkle will be removed. I will be in the heavenly realms. Amino acids, building blocks are same for every creation, which will not be changed. Resurrection, it can be compared to a seed that is sown in the world. It will rise. The same seed is coming up, but there is difference. It is not the same seed, but you can say it is a continuity of the seed. Resurrection is something like that. Paul cannot explain. Nobody can explain what is the resurrection. One of the most, the most beautiful illustration you can speak about resurrection, you find in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 42 onwards. So also is the resurrection of the dead. The body is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption. Something like sowing the seed and it is rising up. It is not the same seed, but it is a continuity of the seed. If you are going to sow the seed of wheat, it is a wheat that is going to rise up. If you are going to sow the seed of oats, it is a oats that is going to come up. If you are going to sow the body of yourself, that is same body that is coming up. It is same, but it is different from the original, but there is a continuity of that. You cannot explain it. Paul says 4 difference here, how that body will be. Sown in corruption, raised in incorruption. What does it mean? Perishable will put on imperishable. The body that is sowing is corruptible body. It is a decaying body, a body that will become weak day by day. But it will raise up imperishable body. We read here, perishable will put on imperishable. There will be a big change in my body that will never be perishable. From dishonor to glory, the second thing he says, it is sown in dishonor, it will be raised in glory. What does it mean? I cannot glory God in all. I wanted to glorify Him with my life, with my words, with my deeds, but I cannot. My body is not fit for it. Many a times I dishonor God through my work or words. But one day, when my body is going to be resurrected, no more dishonor from me. Always I will glorify Him. From dishonor to glory. From weaker to power. That is the third one. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. Our body is weak today. Prone for many diseases. We cannot, resist everything. For example, corona. Even though we have taken booster doses and all, in order to resist the disease of coronavirus, yet we are getting this corona because our body is weak. We need rest in the night because we are weak. Sickness come to us because we are weak. As we get old, we are getting more weak. But what happens? It is written here, going to be sown in weakness and raised in power. We get a new kind of body in the resurrection. And the fourth and final one, it is sown natural body, it is raised as spiritual body. Natural body can be translated as soulish body. The soulish body will become spiritual body. a body suited for this nature. It is designed to live in this world, in this environment. That is natural body. That is not now in this body, it is not fit to live in heaven, but this natural body will put on the spiritual. I will be raised as spiritual. Of course, the Spirit is residing in me, but my body is going to be spiritual, which will be suitable to live in heaven, to live with God. Wonder, there will be 4 kinds of changes: sown in corruption, raised in incorruption. Sown in dishonor, it will be raised in glory. Sown in weakness, it will be raised in power. Sown in natural body, it will be raised in spiritual body. When I'm in heaven, I have a resurrected body, a body that is changed, suitable for heaven. But in this body, can I eat? A question is raised. Can I eat in this body? Of course you can eat. What is the proof that you can eat? Look at the resurrected body of the Lord. You come to Luke's Gospel chapter 24. You know, the disciple they were in doubt about his body. Chapter 24, verses 33 onwards. So they rose up and that very hour and returned to Jerusalem and found the 11 of those who were with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord is risen indeed and has appeared to Simon." And they told about the things that has happened on the road and how he was known to them in the breaking of bread. The disciples on the way to Emmaus, they are telling or narrating what happened with them encountering the risen Lord. Now, as they said these things, Jesus himself stood in the midst of them and said to them, "Peace to you." And they were terrified, frightened, and supposed they had seen a spirit. And he said to them, "Why are you troubled? And why do you doubt? Why doubts arise in your heart? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones as you have seen." When he has said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. And while they still did not believe for joy and marvel, he said to them, "Have you any food here?" Look at that. So they gave him a piece of broiled fish and some honeycomb, and he took it and ate in their presence. They were doubting whether they are seeing a spirit. Jesus told them, "Spirit doesn't have bones and flesh." And he is asking them, "Do you have anything to eat here?" I thought when I read this, if he would have told them that I'm coming to have a breakfast with you, they would have made a sumptuous, breakfast. But all what they had is a piece of broiled fish. And we read here some honeycomb. In some of the original, that means original omit that some honeycomb. That means if it is omitted, there is only broiled fish. They were all fishermen. Whatever it is, maximum 2 things they gave: broiled fish and honeycomb. If they have not given honeycomb, they would have given only broiled fish. He took it and ate it in their presence. So, in the resurrected body, we can eat. Another passage I want to take, can we drink there? Look at Matthew chapter 26. These are the references by which we can understand whether we will eat or drink or not in the heavenly realms. Chapter 26 of Matthew and verses 29. These are the words of the Lord. "But I say to you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." I with you. In other words, you are going to drink wine in the heaven, with me. That time I will drink it with you. So in heaven, we can drink. In heaven, we can eat. Taste buds that has been given to us is a blessing. We enjoy different kind of food. The Lord is the one who created this, taste buds in us. Different kinds of fruits, different kinds of, nuts, different kinds of vegetable, varieties of fleshes. Look at the creation of God. And we taste it and we like it and we enjoy this. Heaven will be blessed, not by us. When I go to heaven, the Lord promised, I will not drink the wine, fruit of the vine now, until I drink it new with you in the Father's kingdom. In other words, you're going to drink wine in Father's kingdom. At that time, I will also drink. His resurrected body brought forth a broiled fish and a honeycomb and ate before them, so we can eat. We read about manna. It was, food that came down from heaven for the Israelites who were in the desert. And we read that it is the food of the angels. So as we have here wheat and rice, etc. grown, probably manna is there in heaven. It may be a crop there, I don't know. But all what I knew, it is a heavenly food, that is for angels' food. I don't know the taste of manna. I haven't seen manna, but I can taste it when I reach heaven because it is a heavenly food. Brothers and sisters, Jesus after his resurrection was able to walk through the closed doors. It's a wonderful body. From one place to another place, he can go within a span of, short span of time. If I have to travel, if I have to reach another country, I have to travel all the way. It will take days or, hours to reach there, but not in the resurrection body. If I think I want to be in Galilee, if I think I want to be in Jerusalem, the next moment I'll be there. If the doors are closed, I can enter into the door. Just like Jesus entered into the door, closed doors. I can eat, I can drink, I can touch, I can feel. What a wonderful, body I will have in the resurrection body. We all will be different, but we will have a similarity. Continuity as well as discontinuity. All the wicked things will be gone. No more sin. Every spot and wrinkle will be removed. I will be there with a glorified body. I will be able to recognize one another. Heaven is a wonderful place filled with glory and praise. As I stop it here, may the Lord's name be glorified. It's a wonderful place that is prepared for his people. Thank you very much. May the Lord bless you and continue to bless you. Amen.